Most people can keep a pothos alive, but can you make it thrive? I'm starting with just one Hawaiian pothos, which is this one right here. And my goal is to make it big enough to climb an entire wall in my house. But we're gonna do it for free. We're not buying any more plants. What we're gonna do is we're gonna propagate this, and I'm gonna show you exactly what I'm doing so that you can do it too. This plant lives primarily on our patio, especially during the summer because it's nice and warm outside, and it does do better in warmer temperatures like 75 to 85 because it's a tropical plant. However, when it gets chilly outside, which is starting to do right now in Texas, we bring it inside and it lives in bright indirect light at a south-facing window. There are a bunch of pothos varieties. There's Marble Queen, there's Jade, there's Neon, and they're all part of the same species. So kind of like how with dogs, you could have a golden retriever, you could have a husky, you could have a chihuahua, but they're all dogs. The same thing goes for pothos. They're all different varieties, but they're all pothos. And this Hawaiian pothos is basically just your extra large version of the golden pothos, which I have here, and I also have a huge one growing outside that's just falling all over the place. The leaves of the Hawaiian pothos are thicker and they can get way larger, as you can see, like this one compared to this one, which is your regular sized pothos houseplant. But like its relatives, it also wants to climb something. So here we have it growing in a moss pole. That just kind of gives the plant the structure that it needs in order to keep climbing, keep getting stronger, and keep getting bigger leaves. Like the ones at the bottom, you can kind of see they're not as big as the ones that are coming out of the top. Like its relatives, it's a natural climber. So in the wild, you can see these climbing all over rocky cliffs. You can see it climbing up trees, all around the base of the trees. I got this cutting from Etsy, and I was super shocked at how fast it rooted. It came super healthy, so we're gonna take this healthy plant and we're gonna create more of it. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna start with this vine. Where each leaf comes out, underneath there's gonna be a node, which is where roots come out of. In order to propagate this, you're gonna need a jar, which we're gonna fill with water. You need plant food, and you need scissors. You can skip the plant food if you don't have it. I prefer it, but you can also just do this with scissors and a cup of water. When you're looking at this vine, you're gonna see where each leaf comes out, behind it, there's a little node, and that's where the roots form. With this moss pole, the roots are growing into the moss to support the plant, because a happier plant is a stronger plant, and a stronger plant gives you bigger leaves. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna start cutting right about here, because I don't wanna cut it all the way back, but this will give us 3 new plants at least, maybe 4. We're gonna see what we can work with. You wanna cut about a 1/2 inch below where the node is going to be. So we're gonna cut it right here. And I'm gonna have to pull this out because it does have roots in there. Look at that. That's sweet. All right, so as you can see, when you have it growing on a moss pole, the roots are gonna be coming out like crazy. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna do what we just did, but in between each leaf, we're gonna cut, trying to avoid the roots, so that we have a nice healthy base. And here I'm just gonna leave this the way that it is, because I think it'll be happier that way. And then we're gonna stick them in this little jar. So we have them in the jar, and now we're gonna fill it up with water and add a little bit of plant food. There are a couple different types of propagating. I prefer the water propagation method just because it's easier. You can do it from wherever as long as you have water in a cup and scissors. But you can also propagate in soil, where you just mix about 50% soil with 50% water so that it's nice and soggy, and you just stick these in there and let it do its thing. So now that we have our cuttings in our jar, in about 2 to 3 weeks, we're gonna start to see even more roots form. And once we see that happening, then these will be ready to go into their own pot. Each one of these cuttings will become its own vine, which is just adding to our future of a climbing tropical wall. You may have heard that pothos are low light plants, but that's not entirely true, especially with this variety, because it is a tropical plant And in order to keep your plant happy and healthy, it needs bright indirect light and it needs water, especially in order to get these massive leaves. So the reason that the leaves keep getting bigger as it climbs is due to hormones in the plant called auxins, which shift when the plant starts to climb up something, telling it to get thicker in the stem, thicker in the leaves, and make the leaves bigger so that the plant has more support as it starts to climb upwards. So just give it a moss pole or something to climb to give it support, and you could have a plant that is absolutely thriving and getting huge. When it comes to watering your pothos at home, don't follow a watering schedule. I did this when I first started out, and I just couldn't seem to keep my plants happy. They were either turning yellow or they were turning brown and crispy, and it was just not working out. So what I do instead is I switch my soil to Molly's Aeroid mix, which is basically a soilless potting soil specifically for tropical plants. And to test if it needs water, I take my finger, I stick it into the soil mix, and this one does not need watered. It feels, well, for one, dirt sticks to my finger, which tells me that it is not quite ready. But if it's dry and or slightly cool to the touch, then it's ready to be watered, and you can just go ahead and soak that thing all the way through and it's good to go. If you keep your plant outdoors, Texas A&M recommends that you water in the morning so that you can avoid fungus or any other bad situations. For nutrients, you want to use a balanced fertilizer to keep your plant healthy and strong, like a 20-20-20, or in my case, I use plant food from Happy Houseplant. Every single time I water, I just take a dropper full, which is about that much, 0.75 milliliters, and I dilute that in a gallon of water, and we just go around and we water all of our houseplants with that, and they are extremely happy that we do so. So this is how I'm starting my Hawaiian Pothos wall, from one plant and a bit of patience. Don't forget to subscribe so you can follow along as we post updates about how this is going to turn into our wall, and don't forget to get dirty and follow me. Bye!